Hi there, 5th and 6th grade campers. I'm Miss Amanda from the Caroline County Public Library, and I'm here today to share with you a book called I Escaped the California Campfire by S.D. Brown and Scott Peters. And many of you may have received this book in one of your activity boxes. If you did, then you can grab it and read along if you like. If you didn't, then I'll give you a taste of it, and then you can see if you can maybe get it from your library. So this is I Escaped the California Campfire. This is cool because it's based on a true story. It's a big wildfire that happened in California in 2018, so only 2 years ago. And it's about a 14-year-old boy who's watching his little sister when the fire starts because his parents had gone out of town. So then he has to escape with just him, his sister, and their dog in the midst of the largest wildfire in California history. So the chapters are kind of short. I think we'll have a chance to read at least the first 2 chapters, and you can see if you like this story. First, I'd like to show you this map of California. It shows Butte County with Paradise, which is the town where the boy lives. So it's in Northern California, and you can see San Francisco is way down here. So it's, even though it's in California, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and it's just a small town. Chapter 1, Thursday, November 8th, 2018, Paradise, California, around 11:05 a.m. 14-year-old Troy's hands gripped the steering wheel so hard his knuckles hurt. The fire had jumped the road. Explosions and flames burst on both sides, chasing the Bronco from behind, a fire-breathing monster herding them toward the forest, a forest full of nature's fuel to feed the raging blaze. He turned to his younger sister. Her face was half covered by a wet rag to block the smoke from entering her lungs. Above the rag, her eyes bulged in terror. She started to scream, waving her arms and pointing. "The fire's everywhere! Look! By the road! At that house! The roof just collapsed! And look at the bakery! Flames are coming out of the windows! Turn around! Go back!" "We can't," Troy said, looking into the rearview mirror. It seemed as if the entire town behind them was lit with flames. "We have to keep going. It's our only chance." "We're not going to make it," she said. "Yes, we are." He hoped the lie would morph into truth. And then here we have a real quote from the California fire official. "The fire accelerated, consuming the equivalent of a football field every second." Can you imagine how scary that would be? So chapter 2 starts one day earlier. Wednesday, November 7th, 2018, Paradise, California, around 4 p.m. 14-year-old Troy Benson snagged the keys to the family's blue Ford Taurus from the kitchen counter. His dad had just finished drinking a glass of water and had set it in the sink. His mom scurried around like she'd be going away for a month instead of a day. Were they ever going to leave? Troy said, "Hey, I can load your stuff in the car and back it out of the garage for you, okay?" His dad grinned. "If I didn't know better, I'd think you're trying to get rid of us, sooner than later." Exactly, Troy thought. Once his parents left town, he'd walk to the holiday market for some serious junk food contraband. Since his parents had opened Paradise Health Mart, he had been drowning in organic this and hummus that. He finger-shot his dad. "Wish I had a get-out-of-paradise card like you and Mom. Admit it. Living in paradise is kind of boring." Welcome to Paradise, California. "I'd be careful what you wish for, son," his dad said and winked. He looked at the clock on the wall. "Honey, if you still want to attend the no-host dinner, we need to get on the road." "Almost there," Mom said. "Just one last thing." Troy grabbed the 2 suitcases, lugged them into the garage, and hit the remote. The garage door rumbled open like the thunder before a lightning storm. The car was parked next to his dad's SUV Bronco. The suitcases went into the car's trunk, and he went into the driver's seat. Ever since he had learned to drive the tractor on his grandparents' farm, his dad had let him pseudo-drive around the yard, mostly on the lawnmower. At least he'd be king for 24 hours. His little sister would have to do what he said. Go to bed when he told her, eat what he served, watch what he wanted to watch on Netflix. Using the rearview mirrors, he backed the car into the front yard and onto the yellow front lawn to make a perfect 3-point turn. He grinned. At least he hadn't had to cut the grass since June because it hadn't rained in 7 months. Plus, the town had water use restrictions, which meant no outside watering. All the yards looked the same: dried stubble, bare dirt flower beds, and dead bushes. Even the weeds had given up their will to live. Everyone said the hot, dry summers were normal, but usually they'd had plenty of rain by November. This year was different. Governor Brown had declared an official end to the 5-year California drought the previous April, but Paradise hadn't gotten the memo. The only good thing about the local water famine was that his last yard chore had been to pull the dead plants and toss them into the compost pile in the backyard. Troy got out of the car. It was windy and cool. After all, it was November and almost winter. Rascal, the family's large German shepherd, ran over and nudged Troy's hand. The boy rubbed her between the ears. The dog's tail slapped his leg like a drummer in a rock band. "You're the best thing about living here," he told the dog. "Who named this place Paradise? Must have been someone's idea of a joke. Look at it. Except for the tall evergreens on the hill and around town, everything is dried up and dead. My idea of paradise is everything green with flowers and palm trees like Hawaii. Not like this HE double hockey sticks kind of place, minus the inferno." There was no point in complaining. He was stuck in Paradise, a small town in Northern California, along the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Only 27,000 people lived in the whole town, and 25% were old, as in senior citizen old and retired. It was a over 6-hour drive to get to San Francisco and civilization. Instead of people, Paradise had trees. Instead of streets, there was one road in and one road out. Instead of high-rise buildings, there were trailer courts tucked between small planned and unplanned neighborhoods. If his parents had to move to the country, why hadn't they moved to the Central Valley near his grandparents, where there was a horse to ride and a tractor to drive? Rascal barked. The dog bounded across the yard. She grabbed a red ball from under the skeleton of an oak tree. A black tire hung from one of the lower branches. I guess that's all there is to do around there. A tire swing. A gust of wind knocked the swing, making it spin. The breeze sent a few dead leaves scattering across the lawn. Rascal ran back to Troy, dropped the ball at her master's feet, and sat. Troy picked up the ball and tossed it high into the air. It dropped and somehow miraculously landed inside the tire. Was it the wind? Wow! Troy couldn't do it again, even if he tried a million times. "Go get it, girl!" Rascal raced after the ball. She jumped onto the tire, sending the black rubber Goodyear into a twirl. Rascal barked and jumped again. The branch cracked, held for 2 more twists of the tire before snapping and crashing to the dry earth. Rascal yelped. "Come on, girl," Troy said. "It's time to go inside and hope Mom doesn't notice." Let's go ahead and read Chapter 3 and see what happens. Wednesday, November 7th, 2018, Paradise, California, around 4:15 p.m., so it's right after the last chapter. Troy smiled at his mom, like he was listening. He wasn't. His mind was focused on his plans for the next 24 hours and the food he was going to eat. It was going to be stellar. Pizza, hot dogs, mac and cheese, chili fries, fish sticks, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Henry Weinhardt's root beer, double stuffed Oreos, cookie dough ice cream, Doritos nacho cheese chips, and whatever else he wanted to eat, and not at the table. "Troy, are you listening?" his mom said. "Yeah, Mom." "Then what did I just say?" He held up his thumb to begin the countdown. "No friends over." Up went the index finger. "No junk food." His other fingers followed as he rattled off the rules. "Go to bed at the regular time. Get up a half hour early. Don't miss the bus." Next hand. "No fighting. No messes. Walk the dog. Feed the cat. If we have any problems, consult Mrs. Jones next door. She's a retired nurse and knows what to do in an emergency." He grinned and punched the air. "Nailed it." "You did," his dad said, "but in case of a real emergency, call 911. Honey, we really need to get on the road." "One last thing," Mom said. "You said that 20 minutes ago," Dad said. "Troy and Emma," his mom said, doing her version of Vanna White and sweeping her hand across the spotless kitchen. "This should look exactly as it does when we return." She pulled out her phone. "And so there's no argument. I'll document how things look." She snapped shots of the big open kitchen and living area. Click, the sink. Click, click, click. Stovetop, refrigerator, microwave, click, floor, click, 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 click. Emma, use the microwave and not the stove. Remember the cookies you forgot in the oven last week? I don't want to come home and find you burn the house down. Troy, don't forget to lock up before you go to bed. Enough, honey, Dad said, giving Troy a wink. If we didn't trust Troy and Emma to be responsible, we wouldn't be leaving them home alone for the night. What kind of trouble can they get into? They'll be in school all day tomorrow, and you know Mrs. Jones has an eagle-eyed view from her front room window. Everything will be fine. We'll be home tomorrow night. I know, Mom said. It's just that my babies are growing up too fast. We're not babies, Emma chimed in. She shot Troy a look. At least I'm not. That's because you're a mutant, Troy said, laughing. A science experiment gone wrong. At his mother's frown, he added, Just kidding. I love my little sister. Dad pointed at the wall clock hanging over the stove with his butter knife hour hand and spoon minute hand. One last hug. Mom scooped both kids into the same tight embrace. To Troy, she said, Be nice to your sister. To Emma, Your brother is in charge. Do what he says. Do I have to? Emma pouted. Come on, Dad said. We want to get there before nightfall. Troy grinned. His dad liked to exaggerate. It was only an hour's drive to Reading and at least 3 hours until sunset. Troy and Emma waved as their parents drove around the corner and disappeared from view. Rascal barked and Midnight appeared from under a bush. Emma scooped up the kitten and cradled it like a baby. Troy slugged his sister in the arm and yelled, Party time! Shut up, Troy. Emma pointed to Mrs. Jones' living room window with a wave and a big smile. She's watching. The older woman waved back from her recliner. Looks like her window is open. Bet she heard you. Don't be such a brat, Troy said and went inside with Rascal at his heels. Let's do one more chapter, chapter 4. Thursday, November 8th, 2018, Paradise, California, around 2 a.m., so in the middle of the night. The clock on the kitchen wall read 2 a.m. Troy grinned. If his parents asked, he could truthfully say they were up extra early for the school day. He'd just leave out the part that they hadn't gone to bed yet. No foul, no penalty. Emma would be stupid to rat him out unless she wanted to be on restriction too. Empty soda cans, candy wrappers, and half-eaten junk food littered the coffee table in the living room. Rascal had just wolfed down pizza crusts and was starting in on licking the empty paper plates. Midnight sniffed the carpet where Emma had spilled chili. On TV, Kung Fu Panda had just rolled down a set of steep temple steps. I don't feel good, Emma said, her hand clutching her stomach. Maybe we should have eaten the tofu and chicken Mom left us to reheat for dinner, instead of this junk food. Not even, Troy said. It's because we're watching this stupid movie. And there's Rascal eating his pizza crusts. He'd wanted to watch Transformers. At least the panda was better than Emma's favorite movie, Mary Poppins from the last century. You didn't have to eat my food. You could have had the casserole. I'm going to tell Mom. You spent our emergency money on junk food. And I'll tell her you were in her makeup, Troy said, eyeing her clown lips. Maybe you should go to bed. We can clean up in the morning before school. He grinned. By then, Rascal of Midnight should take care of most of it. Okay, Emma said and picked up Midnight. Aren't you going to bed? In a little while, he said. As soon as she left the room, he shut off the lights, put on Transformers, and turned it down low. He settled on the couch under one of his mom's crocheted blankets. Before long, sleep punched him into unconsciousness. And soon, they learn that the fire is about to engulf their entire town and their entire house. So if you want to find out what happens, find this in your box and keep reading I Escaped the California Campfire. Thanks for listening.